Now, again, you probably aren't doing a B, but the steps I'm showing you will make it possible for you to figure out how to do whatever your letter is. Okay? All right, so next, we're going to go on to the next letter. So we're going to go back to our pen commands, and we want to do a pen up. And you might guess the reason for that is if you don't do a pen up, after we get back to here and we try to go to the next letter, it's going to draw a line right through the B. So we don't want it to draw any extra lines. Okay. Now, to get it to go on to the next letter, we need a broadcast. So we'll go to events, and we will find a broadcast message there. Put this down. I will click on the down arrow. And so for the message is going to be, I'm just going to call O, because that's where we're going next, the letter O. Okay? And then we're going to start sort of the whole thing over again. All right, so we're going to be moving on to the next letter. Now, it's always useful to add a comment. I'm just going to put a B there so that we know what this code is for. And then next, we're going to go on to the second letter. So for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to drag out a when I receive message. And what's that message going to be? Well, this broadcast is broadcasting O, so that's what this is going to be looking for, O. Okay? And we're going to go through and we're going to choose some of these same commands that get the marker to do what we want it to do. So we're going to go to looks, and we're going to bring out a switch costume 2, and I'm going to choose the red marker this time. Put that right there. We're going to go back down to the pen commands, and we're going to do set pen color. Now, I'm going to run this once so that it will change the color. I don't have to, but it makes it easier. So let me run this, and then it'll change the color to the red marker. It'll change the costume to the red marker, and then I'll be able to grab the color from it. So set pen color 2, use the eyedropper tool. I'm going to come over to the red, click on that, and now I've got what I want for that. Okay. Now, next, we need to tell it where to go. So I'm going to start my O right here. It's going to look kind of boxy. Okay, I'm going to end up going just a square right here for my O. Or thereabouts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the coordinates in. Let me see maybe I'll go a little lower. That seems a little high. So how about if I do, I'm going to move it over a little bit. How about if I do it right about here? So roughly it'll be about x negative 75 and y 0. Okay. And then I'll start it right about there. So I need to have my go-to command. So I'm going to go over to motion. I'm going to bring out a go-to. And notice something interesting. Because I put it there already, when I dragged out the go-to command, it already had the coordinate I wanted. So here's how this is going to look. Let me just run this. And it goes right there. Okay, cool. So next, we need to tell it to put the pen down. So let's go back to the pen commands and tell it pen down. Put that in the bottom. And then we can start putting in the coordinates for where it's going to go. So let's go up to motion. Let's go to glide. All right, glide certain number of seconds to X and Y. So we'll still do 0.5. And then we're going to do, for the first command, we're going to bring it right over here to the very center, 0, 0. How easy is that? 0, 0. So let's see. Notice I tested after each one. It's really important to do that. Okay, cool. So next, I'm going to draw down right to here. And if you look, that's roughly x negative 2. I'm going to round that to 0. and y 100, negative 102. I'm going to round that to negative 100. Okay. So let me drag out, or let me duplicate this. Okay. So that's going to be, as I said, x 0, y negative 100. Let's run it and see. Okay. And now I'm going to drag this over here. Same x value as where we started. So that'll be x negative 75. And notice we didn't go up or down in this instance, so the previous y value will remain, which is negative 100. So this will be x negative 75, y negative 100. So negative 75. Let's see what that does. Okay, and then to finish the O, we're just going to go right back up to where we started, which is x negative 75 and y 0. Okay, right where we started. So notice I'm using this technique of dragging the marker where I want and getting a rough estimate of where it's going to be, and then just putting in the correct coordinates. All right, so we are going to x negative 75 and then y 0. Run it. Okay, so there we've got BO. And let me add a comment to this so we know what it is. O. And then next I need to do the B, the second B for Bob. Okay, now I'm going to do this one different. I'm going to do this one as a lowercase b. Okay, so just to mix it up a little bit. Now, what we need to do is finish this off by going back down to pen and telling it pen up, and then broadcast the next letter. Now, all right, let's see. So the first B doesn't have a broadcast because that was where it didn't need one to do that. Okay. The second one is going to need a broadcast. Let's go to events, and I'm going to say broadcast, and I'm going to say new message, and I'm going to say B. Now, if you have a name that has two of the same letter in it, and one of them isn't the first letter of the word, you're going to need two separate broadcasts for that. Now, keep something in mind. You cannot have two broadcasts with the same name. So let's say I was doing Bobby. Okay, I was going to do B-O-B-B-Y. Okay, for the first B that I'm about to write right now, just the regular old B would work. But if I was going to do a second B, I'd have to put in a message with a different name, like maybe B2 or BB, something, just anything to make it different. Okay, I'd have to do that. In this case, it's not necessary though. Okay, that's just to show you. All right, so that will finish off the O and take us over to the B. So now, next, when I receive, so here we are on events. Let's bring this out. When I receive, let's change this to say B. So this is handing off to this. Okay. We're going to, let's go to looks, switch costume to, okay, switch costume to one of the different markers. Let me just take a moment to show you something. Let's say if I wanted to go blank, at some point, if I wanted to make my own marker costume, I would go to blank, and I would just use the bucket, the fill effect, to change it. So I don't know. Let's see. Say I wanted something like black. Okay. Also, you know what? I think I need to change this to a bitmap. So bitmap, bucket, black, and then so yeah, and then you just fill in with the bucket what you want, like that. Okay, and then you could have a different color marker. All right. All right, so I'm just going to back out of that. All right, so I'm going to actually tell this guy to go green. I like green. So switch costume to green marker. And then I'm going to set the pen color. So I got to back to this. Set pen color. Now I could use this green, but I like to match it up. I'm a little particular like that. So I'll use the eyedropper tool. Green. It's the exact green now. And so next I have to decide where I want it to go. So I'm going to go to motion. I'm going to go to, and then in this instance, I'm going to do, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to do X about 50 and Y 100. So I'm going to start right there, my first line like that. So, all right, so X will be 50 and Y will be 100. That's where it'll go to start my first stroke of that B. So let's run it and see what we got. All right, so it's up there. I'm also going to go ahead and add a comment to this. I'll just say little b. All right, so next we are going to draw our first line going straight down. Okay, so where do we want it to go? It's going to go, so we're not changing our x value. It's not going to the left. It's not going to the right. It's going straight down. So our x value will remain 50. What is going to change is our y value. And we're coming right down to here. And we know that this is negative 100. So I can drag it down and you can see for sure, close enough, or you can just type it in. Okay, so 50 and negative 100. So that's what this next glide is going to be. So glide 0.5 to 50 and negative 100. Let's run that. Nope. What did I forget? It didn't draw the line, did it? I forgot something. You're right. I forgot the pen down. So let's go back to pen blocks and click pen down so that it actually draws the line. Okay. All right. Try that again. There we go. All right, so for the little b, I'm going to come right back up to here, and then I'm going to come out to here, and then I'm going to come down to here, and then I'm going to come over here. So the coordinate for right here is, I'm going to say x50, y0. So I'm just going to tell it to go there, okay? So motion block, I'm going to say go to x50, y0. And that is going to make it go right there. And then next, I'm going to drag it over right around over here. And my y value is not going to change because I'm not going up, I'm not going down. So y will stay the same, it'll stay 0. So what am I bringing this out to? It depends how big you want it to be. So I'm going to bring this out a little bit further to, so let's say right at roughly 125. So x will be 125, y will be 0. Okay, so I'm going to drag out my glide to 0.5, and then 125 and 0. So let's run it, see what we've got. Cool. Now I need to come straight down, so that means I'm not changing my x value. I'm not going left, I'm not going right, but I am changing my y value because I'm going down. So I'm going down to, it says 98, but I'm going to round that to negative 100. And then my x value from the previous one was 125, so that will remain, okay? So I'm just going to duplicate this, and I'm going to say, okay, x will be 125, y will be negative 100. Run it. Okay, and then to bring it on home, I'm just going to drag this over. Okay, so what's that going to be? Let me duplicate this. All right, because I'm not going up or down, my y value will not change. That will remain negative 100. I am dragging it over, though, to the original vertical line, and that is, or I'm sorry, the original horizontal line for x, so that is 50. So right about there. All right, so this will read x 50 and negative 100. Run it. There we go. I wrote the name Bob. So next, to finish things off, we're going to go to the looks commands, and we're going to grab a hide so that it hides the marker. And then we're going to go to events, and we're going to get a broadcast command. Whoop, broadcast. Okay. And what we're going to broadcast is we're going to tell this to remove the background, get rid of the coordinates. Okay, remove background. All right. So next, this is what, let's run it and see what it does. So it draws the B, big B, draws the O, draws the little b, hides the pen, and it doesn't know, it did not remove the background. And the reason why is because we have to put the code in on the stage to do that. So let's go to stage, backdrops, and let's click on, let's make sure we have this grid 1 selected. Then we'll go to code, and we'll tell it, we'll go to events, and we'll say, first of all, we want it to, when clicked, we want that particular background to show up. So what we need to do is we need to go to looks and then tell it switch backdrop to the original one, which was XY grid. So when everything starts off, it definitely goes to this background. Okay. Then later on, when it receives the broadcast, okay, let me find that. When I receive, there we go. So when I receive the broadcast, which broadcast? The one we just made, remove background. What is it going to do? It is going to, let's go to looks, switch backdrop to dark background, which is what it's on. Okay? So once again, this is on the stage, this code, and what it does is when everything starts, it makes sure that this XY grid background that you see right there is what is on the screen. Then after everything's over and it receives the remove background broadcast, it'll switch backdrop to dark background, which is this. Okay, so let's run it and see how it does. There it is. All right, so keep in mind, you are going to be using different letters most likely. But with what I've showed you and the steps I've showed you, you should be able to figure it out because it's the same exact process. All right? Okay, guys, see how you do.